guy come up to us and said, we're not allowed to let the traffic move while the pole's in the air. Once it got into the ground,
I just got a friend somewhere in WA that loved to have a car.
The what?
Loved to have a car, and ever since then they can't negotiate. Recently it was a pretty big, expensive car.
that's what I wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tip over once.
Tipped over.
Yeah. They were going to break to the lake, but it wasn't in the boot.
What tipped over? Oh!
Put a basket toast.
Is that one?
Yeah.
Let's take it out.
You remember Upper Church?
I sent her a message. She's in Europe.
My ring, she's living in Crookland. Now, the house sold again, and hers never.
I suppose.
I was thinking the piano accordions will never sound like that again. No one knows how to play it.
I don't know, that is useful, isn't it?
You remember that one?
Yeah, but
that what the toilets are again? Aha!
Like a bird singing in the rain, let grateful memories survive in the time of sorrow. It's hard to forget someone who gave you so much to remember. Alice Margaret Smith passed away unexpectedly on Saturday, September the 14th, in the Burney Hospital. Sadly, just one day before her 80th birthday. As you will know, before that, she had been in care at Eliza Purton here in Ulverston. As I mentioned, it's hard to forget someone who gave us so much to remember, nor do you wish to forget. For we gather here today to celebrate the life of a vivacious lady who knew how to embrace her time on earth by participating in it well, by giving, and by not sitting still. I extend a welcome to her family and friends here and to those joining us on live stream today. Thank you for being present for her service. Alice Margaret Smith was born in Beaconsfield Maternity Hospital on Wednesday, the 13th of September 1944, to her parents Donald and Margaret Denman. She was one of 6 children. She had 4 brothers, Colin, Greg, who's now deceased, Ian, Bevan, and of course her sister Mary. Their parents, Donald and Margaret, were farmers, and her mum was also a school teacher. The children attended school in Frankfurt and Beaconsfield. They had a farm, and you might know where the farm is because nowadays it's called the Blue Barn in Frankfurt. That was the family farm around there. Their younger days were spent helping on the farm and with the busy household. A lot of time spent out in nature and being free. Of course, as school comes to an end, jobs become foremost in young minds. Alice moved to Hobart and became a telephonist for what was then known as PMG, and nowadays you would know it as Telstra. And later she became a receptionist. Alice was married 3 times. Remember, she embraced life. Her first husband, Barry Murray, she married in her 20s. Her second, Ronald Fraser, when she was in her 30s. And on her birthday in 1986, she married Ronald Henry Smith, a security guard. They spent their life together until Ron passed September 2016. From Hobart, Alice and Ron moved to Youngtown, and in 2002, when Alice's father was ill, after her father then died, they moved to Wynyard and finally to Ulverston in November 2022. That was Alice by herself. Now, this lady took on the journey of her life with gusto. Never resting on her laurels, Alice was very social. She took courses in pottery, massage, Reiki, leatherwork, counselling and dementia. She was very social. She was a member of Probus and she never stopped learning. She was a big supporter of dementia, raising funds wherever she could, even going on holidays. When Ron and Alice went off in their bus, Alice would organise all their trips, calling them Alice in Wonderland tours. So the Alice in Wonderland tours, and wherever they would park up, they would do little fundraisers. Ron playing his accordion or keyboard at the caravan parks and at happy hours and sausage sizzles. They both loved their country music. When she was younger, she played a little tennis, but she would also keep active later in life, including walking, and she walked quite often with the grieving group here in Ulverston. After Ron passed, walking to raise funds for whatever charity was required at the time. She always took time for her craft work, sewing from a young age and adding to her skills as she went. And when her mother Margaret turned 80, Alice took her back to her birthplace in Bangor in Wales. She loved her gardening, beautiful flowers here today. We all wore bright colours for her. And of course she liked her dogs. Her poodle. That's not her poodle. Alice just didn't do things, she really did things, embracing everything head on. While living in Launceston, she started a community Christmas dinner for people without families at Christmas time. Her personality was one I hear of easygoing, fun-loving. She loved a joke. However, don't push her buttons or you would know about it. Sounds like she had it all in hand. Her very good friend Trevor told me that she had faith without religion, and her niece Lisa said she believed in the afterlife. So be on your best behaviour here today, she's watching. Speaking of nieces, although having no children of her own, Alice has 9 nieces and nephews, and many great nieces and nephews. I'd like to mention once again her niece Lisa, who is very close to her aunt, and the family thank her for helping so much at this difficult time. I would now like to read a tribute from Lisa for her aunt. We gather here today to remember Auntie Alice, a woman who, in her own way, left a lasting mark on our lives. When someone like Auntie Alice passes, it's hard to know what to say or where to begin. There are so many stories and quirks that made her special and unique. The grief we feel now, that lump in our throats, the ache in our hearts, and the tears that flow freely, all of that is just love with nowhere to go. Auntie Alice was kind and thoughtful. Most of the time she was easygoing and cheerful. But if you pressed her buttons, the famous Denman stubbornness would come out. She would say, "Nobody will tell me what to do." And she meant it. Her independence was something she greatly valued. She loved her crafts and spent time diving into various projects. She was always trying something new and always creating. Her love for bright colours, especially green, and her fondness for toys, it never wavered. Even when she was moved into the nursing home, I asked her what she wanted me to bring, and she'd reply with a decisive thing, "Of course, I want them," whatever things that she was asking for. And it came to her spinning tops. She wanted them as well. She loved to be out and about socialising rather than spending time at home doing housework. Dust was never her concern. She'd laugh and say, people who don't have dust in their homes don't have a social life. And she lived by that, preferring to spend time at the markets, the craft fairs, or out for coffee, rather than tending to dusting or cleaning. Auntie Alice also has strong beliefs about the end of life. She often said, a funeral is for saying goodbye and to get closure for those who need it. And as hard as it is to be here today, we know this is what she would have wanted, for us to gather, to remember her, and to begin finding our own sense of closure. But as much as she laughed, there were hard times too. The years took their toll, and life, it wasn't always easy. She faced challenges that sometimes overshadowed the bright colours and the laughter. Still, she kept going, doing what she could, finding the small joys where they existed. I want to share a poem I found that reflects the bond I had with her, one that ran deeper than just good times. The poem is called Ants Have No Wings, No Wands or Wings. Ants have no wands or wings, so they work with wisdom, love, and things. Having taken on this role, you loved me right down to my soul. You offered kindness and greetings with a hug and a kiss, each freely out of love, which I will miss. I chose a twinkling star in the sky at night to say a prayer for you, too, into the bright light. You're in God's heaven now, no longer in pain. In my thoughts, you'll always remain. How lucky I was, how blessed I have been. You were more than my aunt, you were also my friend. Auntie Alice, you're no longer in pain. And while I take comfort in that, it doesn't make your absence any easier to bear. You will always remain in my thoughts until we meet again, Lisa.
My famous last words are laying around in tatters, sounding absurd. Whatever I try, but I love you, and that's all that really matters. If this is goodbye, if this is goodbye.
Bright shining sun would light up the way before. You were the one made me feel I could fly, and I love you. Whatever is waiting for me,
stood by a river where nothing was flowing. If you see a red rose unkissed by the dew, then you see a picture of me without you. And you picture heaven with no angels singing, or quiet Sunday morning with no church bells ringing. If you watched as the heart of a child breaks in two, then you see a picture of me without you. And you picture heaven with no angels singing, or quiet Sunday morning with no church bells ringing. If you watched as the heart of a child breaks in two, then you see a picture of me without you.
Some very precious memories there. I did like the big gold medal. I now have a tribute from her sister Mary. Dear Alice, we are so deeply sorry to see you go. You were always the heart of our family, the matriarch who kept everyone together. You had a special way of making each of us feel connected and loved, no matter the time or distance apart. Your zest for life was truly amazing, whether it was through your incredible sewing skills, your involvement in various groups, or your endless hobbies you pursued. You embraced everything with open arms. You never stopped learning or trying new things, and that passion rubbed off on all of us. Beyond all of that was your sense of humour, that we will miss the most. Through tough times, you always had a way of bringing light into the room. You are so fortunate that we've had you in our lives. You taught us not only the importance of family, but also how to live with grace, humour, and unshakable love for life. You leave behind a legacy of warmth and laughter, and one that will live on in all of us. Rest in peace, Auntie Alice, with Nana, Pop, Uncle Greg, and Uncle Ron. We find comfort in knowing that you are reunited with them, and though we will miss you dearly, your spirit and love will always be in our hearts. We are forever grateful for the memories and lessons you gave us. Until we meet again, all our love, Kathleen, Mary, and family. And this, a tribute from Brother Colin with a paragraph from his son Alex. And just before I move on to that, I'd just like to remind everyone there's donation boxes at the front door for some of Alice's passions, dementia, and the dog's home. And please, after we take Alice out, could we gather on the front veranda and just throw a petal or two into the garden for her love of gardening and to help her on her way today. And then you can return back here for refreshments. Tribute from Colin and Alec. I was the big brother in Margaret and Don Denman's family of 6 children. Alice came forth in the line, and I have memories of a bright and very chatty little sister. However, it was not until we left childhood behind that I got to know Alice better. My wife Nancy and I enjoyed many holidays with Alice and Ron in Hobart, then Youngtown and Wynyard. Whenever we visited, Alice was always warm and generous hostess. She would go out of her way to offer interesting outings and places to visit. One such time was a stay she organised for us in Queenstown and a memorable trip on the West Coast Wilderness steam train through the rainforest to Struan. Because we lived in Victoria, family occasions in Tasmania, such as weddings and anniversaries, meant we needed somewhere to stay. Alice was always there welcoming us, along with my children Alex and Liz, and ensuring that we had transport wherever we needed to go. My son Alex remembers Aunt Alice as a warm and generous person and was always finding small ways to brighten the lives of those around her. Alex recalls, "I'll never forget the moment in my childhood when she took me to a cafe in Melbourne. There was a jukebox there, and Aunt Alice gave me an opportunity to pick a song and put something on. Something I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. The song I chose was 'Do You Come From a Land Down Under' by Men at Work. And whenever I hear that song, I'm reminded of her kindness." And back to Colin. "Now for me, every family has its own unique dynamics. Our family is no exception. I've always been grateful for the way Alice cared for our mother and father in their final years. She visited them frequently in the care homes and carefully monitored their well-being. Within our family, there is no doubt Alice was the most loyal and caring daughter, sister, and aunt, and for this, we are very grateful." And I would just like to finish today with another poem the family have chosen. It's called "The Journey of My Life." "It was beautiful for as long as it lasted, the journey of my life. I have no regrets whatsoever, save those I leave behind. At every turning of my life, family stood by me, even when it seemed the years rushed by me. Farewell, my loved ones dear, I smile and bid goodbye. No, shed no tears, for I need them not. All I need are your smiles. If you feel sad, do think of me, for that is what I'd like. When you live in the hearts of those you love, remember then, in memories, you never die." Could I ask you to stand, if you're able, to stand for the last closing words, please? Alice Margaret Smith, an energetic, happy but feisty lady, we speak of our farewells to you. You opened many doors in your life to many things. You stepped through them boldly and took on whatever there was waiting to be embraced. At your age, you saw sorrow and pain. However, you gave laughter to many, and you too laughed. To those left behind, always remember her, for her memory will lift your heart and warm your soul. I sprinkle some petals for Alice's past life and the colourful memories that she left. And the path forward, may she follow it in peace to the afterlife. May she live in our memories and travel on peacefully.